It's time for the Group B final soundtrack of my life night. There are only 3 acts left. Let's see who moves forward. It's the Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my recap and reaction video for The Masked Singer. We are in season 11, and this is the Group B finals for Soundtrack of My Life Night. So we have the Beets, the Seal, which we were introduced to last week on the wild card, and then the Gumball. All of those competing for what should be one final slot in the semifinals or the finals, but I have heard from one of you in the comments over the last couple of weeks that they believe Rita rings the bell again for the Ding Dong Keep It On. So we may actually have 2 acts advancing. I don't know. I have not gotten through the episode yet because, of course, I paused it at the first Take It Off, so I can react. So. Don't know. We'll see what happens. But before we launch into the episode, thank you for finding this video. Welcome to Dan Reviews It. Please consider subscribing, hit that like button, and of course, comment below with your thoughts on who is under the masks. So far this season, I am 6 for 10. I started out very, very rough. I think I was one for 4 for a while, or something like that. And then finally, I've gotten the last couple of right. And last week's Jennifer Lewis, that was a initial guess. That was a first impression guess for me. So hopefully that helps me, and it did. So now we move on to Group B. I think I know who all of these people are. We will see. But it is Soundtrack of My Life Night. The group as a whole performs "It's My Life" by Bon Jovi, and perfect for right now. I've got Bon Jovi on the brain because they just did the docu-series on Hulu, Thank You, Good Night, the Bon Jovi story, which I watched. I did a review for it, and the review's been doing pretty well on my channel, so a lot of comments. So I've been talking about Bon Jovi for like a week now, so very appropriate. They performed It's My Life. All right, so first up was the Beets, and they said, there's 2 of the Beets. They said, our song shows you about a moment that can show. Well, they probably said it differently. I wrote "show" twice. Our song shows you about a moment that can show you what you're capable of. And then at that point, we see the banana split, which we'll remember is Catherine McPhee and David Foster. For us, that moment was when we each became fathers. One of them says, "I always wanted to be a dad, but not sure it would happen for me." And then the other one says, "My kid is a mimic of me, so I've got to watch what I say around him." And then we go back to the first one, and he says, "I'm teaching my son right now to drive." And then we also see at some point in the clue package a clock with a thumbs up on it that is set to 142 or so. I tried to figure out, it has the hands on it. It looks like 142, 143 or something to me. And then a knight in shining armor we see as well. And they sing One Moment in Time by Whitney Houston. I thought it was amazing. For me, it was the best vocal of the night for sure. So, love that song anyway. It's a Whitney Houston classic about the Olympics in 1988, but obviously can be, attached to anything. And then every post-song clue was a vinyl record with somebody from the panel or Nick's face on it, and then it's a clue, about that person. We have they pull out the record, and there's like a sticker that says the clue. So this clue was about Nick, and the vinyl record said "A Wild Night." And then one of the beats says, "We should grab a drink, Nick, sometime again." So they've drank before on a night on the town or whatever. All right, so the clues or the guesses rather, from the panel. Boys to Men, 2 of the members. She picked Sean Stockman and Wanye. Casey and JoJo can keep saying that, and everybody keeps saying no. Josh Groban and Brian McKnight was Ken's other guess, which, I don't see the connection. But he said that they had a song together that David Foster produced. All right. And then Dan and Shay came from Robin. That's the first time we've heard that. I like Dan and Shay. Certainly they have great harmonies. They can sing. However, they are judges on The Voice this season. I know this was recorded a few months ago, but I don't know, seems a little cross contamination-y. So I don't think it's Dan and Shay. I'm sticking with my original guess. This was my first impression guess from the first week that we heard from the Beets, and I'm sticking with it still. Ruben Studdard and Clay Aiken from American Idol. Catherine McPhee was also on American Idol. I believe she came in second the year that Taylor Hicks won. But Clay Aiken came in second to Ruben Studdard. So I think that matches. I don't know what the clock has to do with anything. I don't know what the knight in shining armor has to do with anything. However, I know that Clay Aiken had his son in 2008, so he would now be 16, which is driving age, so that makes sense. And also the comment where he says, I never wanted, or I always wanted to be a dad, but not sure it would happen for me. Clay Aiken is gay. As a gay man myself, I can certainly relate to that. The idea of, oh, well, I have to either adopt or whatever, have a surrogate or something. There's, more limited options sometimes for gay men. Certainly, 15 plus years ago. So I totally get that with Clay Aiken. I think this is Ruben and Clay. And I have not wavered on that one. All right, next is the seal, and that is who's going home. So we will do the clue package and then right to the take it off. And I think I know this one from last week, and this week's clues all just bolstered that for me. He says, "It's Tricky" is the song I've chose. It sums up my life. We see a ship with a heart on it at that point. He says, "I had to navigate the waters of Hollywood since I was a child." We see a zombie poster. He says, there's been a lot of misconceptions about me, like the bad boy badge. We see a calendar at that point with Friday circled on it. He says, "But I'm really a family guy." And then he raps horribly, "It's Tricky," which just bolsters my clue even more because this dude just cannot effing sing. And he keeps trying. He keeps wanting to have a career in music. Keep acting, dude. You're a good actor. You are a god-awful singer and an even worse rapper. His version of "It's Tricky" was effing horrible. Okay, so the vinyl clue from him, Jenny was the person, and the vinyl said "House Call" on it. And he said, "It's always fun hosting you because you've hosted me many times." And so right away, she thought it was Corey Feldman, who is exactly who I think it is. Guy can't sing, full of himself, but the clues. Friday circled on the calendar. He was in 2 of the Friday the 13th movies, or at least one of them. I don't know about the zombie poster, but last week we saw a vampire, obviously for the Lost Boys. We keep getting these Goonies-type clues with the ship. So, and then, Hollywood, since I was a child, all of that. So, it's Corey Feldman. But that was Jenny's guess. We had not heard that last week. Last week, they guessed Haley Joel Osment. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Corey Feldman was guest last week because they were between Feldman or Sean Astin. And I went with Corey Feldman on that one. Macaulay Culkin was guest from Robin, and then Jerry O'Connell was guest from Rita. And that, those are all actually okay guesses. Macaulay Culkin certainly, had his ups and downs. I don't know that he was known as a bad boy, but maybe in his later years after he was acting, in his 20s and stuff, sure, I could go with that. Jerry O'Connell, I don't know if he was ever known as the bad boy, but he was on Stand By Me, so certainly a young actor. But no, it's Corey Feldman, 100%. So without further, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, yes, further ado, let's go to the final guesses. So the final guesses, Rita stuck with Jerry O'Connell. Ken said Haley Joel Osment, who he went with last week. But Robin went over to Jenny's side, and he thinks this is Corey Feldman as well. Jenny stuck with her Corey Feldman guess. And she said that she has been to his house. Her and her husband, Donnie, have been to his house. And Corey Feldman has come on to Jenny's podcast several times. So she has hosted him on the podcast. So, the clues made sense to Jenny, and they certainly have made sense to me. And then hearing the terrible, terrible vocals this week just confirmed that this is the god-awful singer, but good actor, Corey Feldman. So let's go to the Take It Off. I'm sure he had in his contract, he had to stay on at least 2 weeks. He couldn't be kicked off the first week. I bet was in his contract. Yeah, God, he's such a cheeseball. All right, everyone's excited. Look, I want to say, I like Corey Feldman as an actor. He is a really good actor, at least he was. I haven't seen him in anything in a long time, but just, he needs to drop the singing bit. He's terrible at it, and it's become I thought a national joke, but one of my international viewers, Nyan, mentioned that he's a joke over there, in the UK as well. So in Sweden. Oh man. That was one of the worst performances we've had on this show. It's tricky. My God, that was bad. All right. Yeah, Jenny and Robin got it right. Jenny's been pretty good this season.
How does the seal rank? Oh, this is definitely the greatest character I've ever played. I love when my face is covered and I can just be as crazy as I want. Did you guys have fun? Yes. That's all that matters. That's awesome.
Yeah, all right. I like. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, I watched the. I guess it was the Surreal Life that he was on years ago. He seems like a good guy. I wish he would get it through his head. He's just not a singer. But it makes sense he would do this show. So that's good for the track record here. I'm 7 for 11. So we will see the Beets and the Gumball, in the battle royale, and see which one comes out on top. Maybe nobody else goes home today. I don't know. I think that would be fair. I think they used the Ding Dong Keep It On belt on the wrong group. It should not have been Group C. But let's. I'm gonna watch the rest of this here. Then we'll get back to the Gumball because we have not talked about him yet. We'll see who gets to stay here. All right, well, it looks like there is no Ding Dong Keep It On bell. It looks like my commenter on previous weeks was incorrect. It looks like somebody's going home, and I'm not real happy about it because I think these people should have been in the final. It's the Beets. And I think the producers even tried to coordinate the Battle Royale to them because they had each contestant sing a duet. I've had the time of my life from Dirty Dancing, and that's, of course, a very famous duet. It's Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers and Jennifer Warrens. So, obviously, the Beets, could trade off. The Gumball had to sing it by himself. And so I even felt like the Battle Royale was kind of tailored to propel the Beets forward. I gotta say, I'm kind of bummed out by this because I really felt... Look, Gumball is completely worthy. I think the Ding Dong Keep It On bell should have been saved for Group B, and I think it should have been the Beets and the Gumball moving forward. We have from Group C, we have the Poodle Moth, and who else? Or was that Group A? Oh, I'm on the wrong season. Oh, goodness. All right, so Group C, we've got the Poodle Moth moving forward, and then the Clock. And I mean, those are both okay, but boy, I'm going to miss the Beets. All right, so the Beets, the Take It Off Robin's guest was Dan and Shay. And he mentioned earlier in the evening that he doesn't really know them personally. He just is hearing it in the vocals. Jenny went with a brand new guest that we have not heard yet this season, and she was thinking the family clue they talked about was maybe from Modern Family. She was thinking this could be Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Eric Stonestreet, who, of course, played a married couple on Modern Family. And that's not a terrible guess. They certainly can both sing. They both have Broadway roots. So that clue that guess is not horrible. Rita went with a brand new one as well. We have not heard this yet, but she said she was hearing something in the Battle Royale that brought her to CeeLo Green and Danger Mouse. And they are collectively known as Gnarls Barkley, who, their song Crazy. But I don't think that's a correct guess. And then Ken is sticking with Casey and JoJo. Nick actually is like visually mad about it because he's like, there's no way that's Casey and JoJo. You're an idiot. This is one of your worst guesses ever. He's had some bad guesses, but look, I think this is Clay and Ruben. I've been saying it since the first time they sang together. Those harmonies are so beautiful. I really, really think it's a shame that they're getting the boot, but let's go to the Take It Off. Is it indeed Ruben and Clay? Let's see. It is. It's Ruben and Clay. I was a huge American Idol fan back in the day. Jenny's jaw is just on the floor. I think if people knew it was Ruben and Clay, they would have kept voting, to be honest. Jenny can't even believe it. Jenny cannot believe it. It's funny because Clay has gained some weight in his years, and Ruben has actually slimmed down a little bit. I haven't seen Clay in a long time. He's bulked up a little. God bless him.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We had a good time.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of fun. The audience is amazing. Good to see everybody. It's just it's a great time.
I love it.
Oh my God.
Well, you had us all.
One of my favorites. Oh God, I wish they were in the final.
Compared to some of the people you guessed. I mean, they guessed Boys to Men. We
Boys
love
to Men
that.
was great.
No Casey and JoJo?
Casey and JoJo for sure. I mean, who don't love Jodeci? I mean, of course, but. Oh my.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we love Ruben and Clay. All right. That's really a bummer for me. But all right, let's move on to the Gumball. We have not talked about him yet. He will be moving on to the final. He said, I always felt like I was pretending to be someone else. My family moved around a lot, so I was always the perpetual new guy and would do anything to make friends. I always felt out of place on stage as well, with no formal training or education in that field. We saw an X on a nice car, like on the hood. We also saw a football, finally a football clue for this person, if it's who I think it is. He sang Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas, and then his final clue had to do with Ken. He said, one of the funniest jobs I've ever been involved with, you were a part of. And I'm not sure if this, I would have to look at his resume a little closer to see what he worked on with Ken, but the guesses from the panel, Jack Black from Rita, that's way off. That's a terrible guess. Zachary Levi, I don't hate that guess, from Robin. And the X, he was thinking, or no, that was James Marsden was Jenny's guess. She was thinking for X-Men. But Zachary Levi, he said, look, there's been a lot of superhero clues. The football, maybe for his role in American Underdog, which is a pretty good movie. And then, like I said, Jenny mentioned James Marsden. But look, I had changed my guess last week to this person because you guys were so adamant about it in the comments. And he was on Heart of Dixie. The first week we had a big heart around like Louisiana and Arkansas and that area, so Dixieland. And the football clue, finally, I know this person from Friday Night Lights, Scott Porter. And we were finally getting a football clue, but I don't know about the Ken clue, but I do know about the X clue. He was a voice, I think it was maybe for Cyclops, on some of the X-Men animated stuff. I don't know if it was movies or there was a series or whatever, but he was involved in the X-Men universe in that way. So I will stick with my guess from last week. You guys convinced me on this one. Scott Porter is the Gumball. And I guess we will see him then in the final. So next week will be, I don't know if it's the final or the semifinal, but there's still 4 people. So it's probably not the final next week. But so we will have from Group C, like I mentioned, we'll have the Poodle Moth and the Clock. Then from Group A, we will have the Goldfish, right? Yep. Which we're thinking is Vanessa Hudgens. And then the Gumball, Scott Porter. Oh, and then for the Clock, for Group C, I think Thelma Houston, and then the Poodle Moth, Chrissy Metz, which neither of those were my first guess in Group C. Vanessa Hudgens was not my first guess either, and neither was Scott Porter. So I'm out for, if these people are correct, I'm out with all of my first impression guesses. But both of the ones tonight were my first impression, Clay and Ruben and Corey Feldman. So for what that's worth. So I at least have a pretty good track record at this point in the season. So happy about that. But all right, well, we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. We'll see you next time. Bye.